Hi, so my name is Carmen and I did my cultural assessment. I'm looking here because I'm looking at my screen. I'm sorry. I did my cultural assessment on the Hispanic culture, and then I chose to compare it to African American culture. I talked about beliefs, how education plays a part in the role, religion, similarities with disparities between both minorities, how we still go through a lot of things, especially African Americans these days. I discussed how, like, in religion based, Latino, Hispanic people they're big on prayer. We love to pray. I mentioned in my assessment that, like, there's not a Hispanic person's house that I've gone to that I haven't seen a cross on the wall or a rosary lying around or candles lit up somewhere around the house. We're big on praying. We're big on, God, and, when somebody's sick or something like that, we're praying for them to pull through. And as well, in the African American culture, they're big on religion as well, even though Hispanics mostly are considered Catholics or consider themselves Catholic. The African American culture, they're brought up in the Black church, and they practice Muslim. Some of them, they also believe in the family culture, going to church every Sunday with the kids. In Hispanic culture, I don't know many Hispanic people who go to church with families on the weekends. I guess that's just how we were brought up and our family's family. But I do have a lot of African American friends who believe in the culture. Going to church on Sundays, taking the kids to church early morning. Traditions vary. So African American people we celebrate Christmas. African American people, some do celebrate, some don't. Some believe in just going to church. That's Jesus' born day. We shouldn't be getting gifts, things like that, or receiving gifts. I think that Latinos and African Americans are super big on family. Like, that is like something definitely can relate to helping each other out, but also strict, not being dependent on others, relying on yourself, getting a job, doing what you got to do. I think it's very big in the culture. I install that in my children, getting a job, doing what you got to do. Education is big in both parts. I would say, not from what I know from my few friends, education's big. Not a lot of them have kids, but they were brought up, education's big. My culture, some are brought up on education's big. However, I would say that in my family, necessarily, education wasn't big. They didn't speak about it. Like, my mom didn't, like, tell me, oh, you got to go to school, you got to do this, you got to do this. Not how I am with my children. Just because I experienced the struggle of, poverty and not, seeing my mom go through things like that, as well as my African American friends. Some of them grew up without mothers, without fathers, and they didn't have that figure to kind of push them and drive. Some did, and they were great, very grateful and very lucky. I wasn't as fortunate, but I saw it for myself and wanted better for me. And this is, again, something I install in my kids. Even my youngest, who is 7, I push it all the time, 24/7. Education is big. Family is big. All we have is each other. My sons, I tell them, all you have is your brother. Again, that's big in both cultures. I also talked about how in African American culture and Hispanic culture, we believe sometimes in certain rituals and things like that, home remedies. I mentioned how in Hispanic culture, if you're Hispanic and you're watching this, like, in Hispanic cultures, like, Vicks fixes everything for some. And African American culture, I have a friend who swears by when she's sick eating a chicken noodle soup. Like, it's just, like, insane. Or, getting, like, a little remedy together. Like I mentioned, putting Vicks and onions under your socks. Like, I have a friend who believes in eating garlic mixed with some other stuff, drinking it to help her throat when she has a bad cold. Again, this is, like, similarities between the two. A lot of minorities go through things, we're not as fortunate as others. And, we still try our best to come out on top. And I think that's why I chose the African American culture as well. So that is it. Let me see something else. I'm so sorry. yeah, touched on beliefs, religion, churches, religion, family, education. We share a lot of the same similarities. Again, the church thing, like I don't go to church. A lot of my friends who are African American go to church. And now thinking about it, I don't have like a lot of my Hispanic, Latino friends too don't really go to church. They believe in God, of course. They pray, they do all that. They like candles, but they don't really go out and go to church. Again, education is super big in both. And I think more now than it was before, at least in my culture, to be exact. So yeah, that is my cultural assessment. That is what I did, and that is the two cultures that I compared. I hope. Thank you.